this is what what the platform looks like at the moment. This is just like a screenshot of the website. So you can see that we have collected it, like sorted it in various categories, like how to collect your data, how to select actions, how to raise awareness within your municipality, both for the general public and but also for the officers working in the municipality. So what you can do then is to choose either of these categories and move forward, and then you yeah, and then you can then it looks more or less like this. So you can see for all these 6 categories there are 3 sections. So for example, you have education where you can start off, where so you can learn something about this area, and then of course these webinars, and there's a test of how advanced you are in this category. And we have also gathered all the presentations and some good practices from around Europe, and in some cases also from other parts of the world. And finally, just some material and links that is good for you to have available. So this is what it's going to look like. Quite simple and hopefully very user friendly, so that you won't have to look around a lot for what you're looking for. Just quite straightforward, we hope. And then we have I wanted to show you how it looks like live. I'm sorry, it takes a while for the internet connection. So yeah. Yeah. So this is the website, the way it looks like right now, with clickable links, of course, like I just showed you before. If you click here, then you end up here, and then you can click on this and you go down there, or you just scroll like this, and then you will find your way around. So that is basically what it looks like. And then of course there's a link to Covenant of Mayors and things like that, and here is other national language sites that you can fill. So yeah, that's more or less what it looks like, and I hope it will be really helpful for you when you create your SECAPs in the future, or in the very near future. Yeah. So what we are thinking about adding, that is definitely not there yet, is some short movies on relevant topics. Some that we have already presented during these webinars, and some that will be new to you. And we will also really do a search to get the link site really filled with material. And we will also, like you could see now, the educations weren't there, so we will create some educations. And we are also thinking about maybe giving you the opportunity to build your own education, to choose bits and pieces of this to create an education that you in turn can give to your stakeholders. So that's more or less about the platform, and we will of course come back to you with more information when it's more updated and when it's more useful for you. But that's all from us, so we would like to hand over.
Maybe if there's any questions or comments so far. please raise your hand or put your question in the chat. No questions, no comments. Oh, here we go.
Just a comment that there is no question.
No question.
Yeah, but feel free to come back during the webinar or at any time.
And you can always send us an email as well if you have any questions or comments or suggestions how to improve, or if you have anything that you would like to include in the learning platform, you are welcome to send us material or links or anything similar. Then we would like to invite Francisco.
Yes.
And I will make you present and then you can share your presentation.
Great. Thank you, Anna.
So now you should be able to share your presentation with us.
Yeah.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, great. Let me just see if I can put this aside. Yeah, I think it's good enough. All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Francisco Leal, and I'm a sustainable development researcher and game designer. I'm the author of the Master of the Covenant board game, which I will present to you today. However, before I start talking about the game, I would like to first thank Kirsten and Anna for the opportunity to be here participating in this webinar. So thank you, you two. Tak, as I've learned. So to start with, a short presentation about myself. So as I said, besides being a game designer, I'm a sustainable development researcher. So I've already worked as an environmental consultant. I've have my academic background regarding sustainable development and urban planning. So to start talking about the game, the Master of the Covenant has been developed for more than 1 year now. So I started working developing this game last year in 2017. Until now, the game has been played by different kind of audiences, from university students to representatives from local and regional governments. I'm very proud to say that since June, the European Covenant of Mayors has been promoting the game, as you can see in my slide. And actually, it was through them that a representative of the Empowering Project has contacted me. And as I've heard, there is considerable synergy between the Empowering Project and the Covenant of Mayors initiative, which I think it's very good. I'm pretty sure that both projects can learn from each other. So, straight to the point, what is this game about? So the Master of the Covenant has been designed to simulate, in a simplified way, how public officials, so you guys, can prepare a sustainable energy and climate action plan for your cities, adopting actions to enhance sustainability and increase local resilience towards climate change effects. So the idea is that the game will provide you a lot of options and actions and help you guys to build your own plan to increase your local resilience and enhance sustainability. And in order to do that, the game will provide two kinds of actions to the players, which are divided in two different groups that I will show you in the next slide. So one of these groups is the emission sources actions, which there are several options, and here I put some pictures of some examples such as agriculture, energy, or industry. And besides that, besides the emission sources groups, there are also actions regarding risks. And that would include, for example, floods, coastal erosion, or heat waves. Of course, these are just examples of the numerous options that the players have. and I will talk more about that later. But what I wanted to stress here is that throughout the game, players have several ways to build their plan, with different possibilities of focus areas. Yet, the choices affect and are affected by some relevant factors that I will talk about. So players always have a limited budget to play with in the Master of the Covenant game. And although everyone would love to do everything, limited budget is a significant constraint in the game, limiting the amount of actions the players can undertake. Besides that, there are events, which are actually opportunities and dilemmas that can influence the decision-making of players, since every round brings new events to the game. And this is a very important feature, there is the stakeholders' response. As a wise man once said, every action has a reaction, and so is the case in the Master of the Covenant game. Stakeholders can facilitate or create barriers in accordance to players' decision-making, supporting or going against the choices made by the players. And at the end of the game, after 4 rounds the game finishes, and at that point players receive an assessment related to what they achieved with their actions, stimulating them to think about the process and invite them to play again. So, now that I talked about the basic outline of the game, I will highlight some key aspects of it. So, the Master of the Covenant game is the final product of intense research. Every action available in the game to the players is based on literature and/or real cases. Learn with the good practices. That is good, right? But we should learn with the other kind of practices too. Seriously, bad practices can be very educational. I will never forget a player who was truly shocked when he discovered one of the actions he chose was actually very harmful for the environment in the long run, and I'm sure he will never forget too. Another feature that is very important in the Master of the Covenant game is that the game provides different views on a matter. So throughout the game, players are assisted by a heterogeneous team of specialists who provide their view on the matter based on their own background. They might agree or disagree with each other depending on the action at stake, but they will never leave the players without relevant information. And yet, in the end, it's always up to the players to decide what to do. Besides that, it's your city, your choice. So, what is your city lagging behind? What do you want to improve there? The game scenario can be customized in any way the players want. Does your city have a great level of sustainability in agriculture, but maybe there is still room for improvement regarding transportation? Sure, go for it. Are heat waves more and more common? Have you guys already solved the issue with floods? Great, just adapt the scenario in the way it best suits you. Besides that, strategy is important. Balancing different elements is as important in the game as it is in reality. The Master of the Covenant game fosters strategic thinking. And regarding mitigation and adaptation, as I heard from an urban adaptation specialist some weeks ago when she was playing the game, quite often adaptation measures are forgotten in capacity building tools designed to help local governments. Yet, in the Master of the Covenant game, adaptation measures are as important as mitigation ones. As I said before, it's up to the players to decide what will be their focus. And, of course, and I'm pretty sure that this is very important for everyone, the, the game is very cost effective. The game provides a controlled environment to test different ideas. Taking risks in the Masters of the Covenant does not represent a financial burden or a threat to social or political stability. Besides, a board game does not require, for example, internet connection, high-tech equipment, or anything of the sort. As I like to say, small investment, big results. And last but not least, it's fun. There's a lot of content inside the Master of the Covenant game, but there is one characteristic which must be highlighted. Playing this game is engaging. It's fun. During this last year, I've seen players cursing, laughing, and most important, enjoying themselves a lot while playing. Although some teachers really try hard, learning does not need to be a boring activity. In fact, it's much more impactful when it is not, when it's fun. So, that was what I planned to share with you. Maybe it was a bit fast, but I hope you guys managed to grasp the main content. And I wonder if you have any questions. I'm fluent in English and Portuguese, and I believe my Italian and Spanish are quite good. So if you guys want to ask something, or you can either ask talking or writing.
If you would like to talk, please raise your hand so we can unmute you. Otherwise, you can put your question in the chat function. We'll give you some time to write some questions. During that time, we can answer some questions that we received for the previous presentation about the learning platform. There was one question when it will be ready for use, and it is already online, though it is not complete yet. But you can already visit the website at empowering2020.eu, and there will be soon also a direct link from the Empowering Project website. Then there was another question if you need to subscribe to the platform in order to access the material. No, you don't need to register. If we include the function that you can build your own education packages, then there will be a registration function for that part or functionality of the website. Do you have any questions for Francisco? There seem to be no questions at the moment.
All right.
Do not hesitate to send an email if you come up with a question later on.
There is now one question in Spanish.
All right.
I don't know if you can. I guess you can see it as well, Francisco. I can't. I don't dare read it out loud. Okay, now it's translated into English. Could we see the game? Is the question. Do you have like a link that you could show?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. So just 1 second. I think the easiest way is to show the Covenant of Mayors article, because there are quite a lot of pictures there.
Yeah.
So, as I said, the game is a board game. So this is actually the paper prototype that we played a few months ago. It's not the final version of the game. But anyway, it's possible to have an idea of how is it. So the idea is that there is a board, which is actually this colorful part, and then there are several actions that players can have, which are, as I've talked in the beginning, regarding either emission sources or risks. And then besides that, there are several actions that happens. There are these ones in the left, that they are basically random, which stimulates the players to adapt their strategy to the events that happen. And yeah, that's the basic of what I have now. But if you guys are interested, I can prepare something and send you guys a link later, or either maybe a document that I can prepare with more detailed pictures of the features of the game.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. There is a follow-up question actually on how you can get a hold of the game, and maybe
How
that is
can
also
what? Sorry.
some how you can buy the game or how you can
Oh
get
yeah.
it. Yeah, so maybe that is also some information that you could send to me, and then I will forward it to
To our partners.
to the partners.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
And now we have also one more question, or it's two questions in one. So from
Okay.
what from what age could the game be used, and what is the level of knowledge that is needed regarding energy and adaptation in order to be able to play the game?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Um, I don't think there is an age limit to play the game. And regarding the level of knowledge, I would say that it's really basic. So I strive to make a simple game. Although, as I said, there is a lot of content. I wanted the game to be accessible for all audiences. So uh, actually, I decided to not put that on the presentation, but maybe I should. So there was a quote of an urban specialist that played urban adaptation specialist who played the game, and she said that she was very surprised at the game, although having a lot of content. She was surprised that the game was very simple to play. So since there are this team of specialists that provide information during the game for the players, let's say that most of the technical information you need, you can get by this team. Of course, if you are a specialist, if you work with that and you have information, your own information, it's a plus. It helps you to the decision-making process. So to choose which actions you want to make. But the idea is that the game is a capacity building game. So the idea is that we'll learn with the game as well. So I would say that there is no uh, level of requirement of knowledge, but if you do have, it's definitely a plus. Pretty sure of that.
Great, thank you. I was thinking about the age limit because I guess I mean, it's meant for grown-ups, so it's not like you buy it for your 5-year-old kid and
Oh
play it.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I should have mentioned that. Yeah. It's for grown-ups. Yeah. I haven't played it with kids, but or teenagers, but yeah, my primary audience was grown-ups.
Mm,
It's actually a
yeah,
good suggestion for me to go to high schools maybe and play the game
yeah, but
there
I
with
mean,
students.
the target audience is mainly municipalities, and normally it's grown-ups working there. So
Professional
Yeah, yeah,
students.
that's
yeah.
true. But actually, I received some. There was some professors from universities who wanted to test my game during class, but also it's with grown-ups, although young
Mm,
grown-ups. But yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's could be a good idea, of course, to extend it to them.
hmm
Yeah.
So, any
Um,
more questions?
no, not what I can see. Um, no, I think that's all for now. And of course, as always, if you end up having more questions, just send them to Anna or to me or to your regional partner, or yeah, and then we will forward them to Francisco. And thanks a lot. It was really interesting to see this presentation about the game. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. Well, I'm always excited to talk about my game. So thank you for that. I hope it becomes useful for you. But nevertheless, I wish you all success with the development of your CCAPs,
Thank
either with using the game or not.
Actually, yeah, I said thank you. That you didn't even direct that to me, but actually, we do now have one more one more question.
All right.
Um, does the game guide the player to choose best practices?
Yes, I would say so. So the thing is that the actions that are available to the players, they're not necessarily good, all of them. So in the sense that actually there are quite a few, and as I mentioned that in the example of the player that was surprised that he decided to make made an action that actually was bad for the environment in the long run. So the idea is that throughout playing the game, and especially if you play more than once, you are guided into the good practices because you receive and you notice quite often when there are bad outcomes from the actions that you chose.
Okay, thank you for the answer. I hope it was also sufficient for the question writer. So I will see if there is some more questions coming in, but I don't think so. I guess by now you have had quite a few minutes to formulate questions. But of course, I will say it once again. If you come up with another question, just write it down or raise your hand. So once again, Francisco, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And now let's see if Margarita Arjona is. If you are, I can see that you are logged in, but are you also prepared to give your presentation?
Hello. Se ve un momentito.
Margarita, can you hear us?
Hello, yes, I can hear very well.
Perfect. Then we will make you presenter and invite you to start your presentation.
Are you prepared? Are you ready?
Okay, I'm going to show you my. Do you see my
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thanks.
Perfectly.
And we will mute ourselves now. But so it's all yours now. The floor, just to give your presentation.
Okay. So good morning. My name is Margarita Arjona, and I'm part of the consulting firm Trinomia Construction, Efficiency and Environment. Today, we are going to talk about different problems and their solutions to explain 4 blocks of measures that are currently being implemented by Spanish local administrations. The first problem is external energy dependence and high greenhouse gas emissions. Spanish energy dependence is over 70%, 20 points higher than European energy dependence. This caused very high tariff deficit and energy poverty growth, among other problems. The solution is to use renewable energies instead of fossil fuels. We are going to mention the following ones: solar thermal and solar photovoltaic energy and biomass. There are other, but we are going to talk just about those 3. Solar thermal energy is increasingly used in homes and residential buildings. Most solar cells are made of cadmium chloride, which is very expensive and toxic material. Other materials, such as magnesium chloride, harmless and present in the sea, are currently being investigated. Continuing with photovoltaic solar energy, we are going to give you 2 examples of projects. The first project is Tusu Energía, that has been developed by Tucson, a civilian company that manages public and bus tram services. They have constructed photovoltaic panels over a system of canopies that provide shade for 60,000 meters of parking space, as well as generating electricity to discharge into the grid. Here you can see some images. This is the plan. This is a 3D model, and this is an area view. Okay. The second project, solar roof project, used geographic information system technology to analyze roof to available area for solar energy. Here you can see a map with the information and some numbers of the reduction of CO2. Here you see, and here you see. Now we go on with biomass energy. This renewable energy is taking on a key role in Spain for heating production. The origin of biomass is very diverse: agriculture, forestry, fishing, and urban waste. Here we see the increase in biomass heating from 2080 to 2018. Forest biomass is a very interesting measure because it also acts as carbon sink. We can't forget that forest management reduces the risk of fire. This is very important because fire is another growing problem caused by climate change. Here you see some maps. In some of Spain, biomass heating could be much more promoted for the following reason. There is a very large area of forest mass. A part of these are property of local councils, and there is a close relationship between council and citizens. Then we are going to see two big examples of forest biomass heating. The first one is the Spanish largest grid system, located in Soria. Here, maybe, I don't know if I can, I don't know if you see it right here. Okay, here you see Soria, and the second example is the future district heating, biomass and solar and thermal in Alcalá de Henares, Madrid. But also small councils are also able to develop forest biomass heating. This is the case of Huetor Tajar in Granada and Monterrubio de la Serena, Badajoz. Both heating facilities use local olive stone as biomass. Next block of problems are impacts caused by changes in precipitation and temperature patterns, which are the following: decrease in water resources, increase in drought, and heat island in cities. Here we see some information about the growth of maximum temperatures, increase of days of hot, decrease in rain, increase in minimum temperatures. Considering the main problem of lack and increasing drought, what can we do in urban green areas? The solution is zero gardening. But what is it? It is water efficient gardening. This technique was born in USA after a drought period in California, Texas, Arizona, and Florida. And there are a large number of plant species to incorporate to this technique. It is based on 7 principles that we are listed right now: proper planning and design, soil study, selection of plant species, reduction of grass area, efficient irrigation system, soil protection by mulching, because it keeps humidity, and proper maintenance. We have selected 3 examples of zero gardening, which are in Mijas, located in Costa del Sol, Málaga, Seville, and Almería. In Mijas, we want to remark that the main objective is progressive grass removal and implementation of zero gardening. Mijas has replicated the experience and know-how of Fuerteventura, one of the Canary Islands. In Seville, the project is called the Garden of Cigarettes and is not yet executed. It is going to be placed in a strategic area of the city next to the river. This green public area has been designed applying principles of zero gardening and efficiency. The third example of zero gardening is an RDI project in Almería. It consists on a sustainable plant barrier for acoustic mitigation and carbon sink with telematic monitoring. It is very interesting to mention that it uses hydroponic cultivation, zero gardening, intelligent irrigation system, as well as recycled materials. Here you see some pictures, and as we already have advanced at the beginning, it is also carbon sink. So we follow. What other actions are useful? The answer is water reuse for gardening, irrigation, rat cleaning, and farming, among other regulated uses. We have included 2 projects. The project of Chiclana is already in operation. Chiclana is a municipality of Cádiz region. Here we see a picture of the facility and the location of Chiclana, south of Spain. Its citizens live mainly from tourism, and there are many golf courses. So that's why it needs a lot of water. The second one is in Alicante, Valencia. This project is actually in drafting phase. It is going to be very positive to the region because the scarcity and poor quality of water used in agriculture have been constant since decades. And finally, what can we do to mitigate heat islands in warm cities? This is a question which a group of engineers have already answered in 1992. We are going to explain briefly an example of microclimate in public spaces. Particularly, we are going to list the actions they took for the Sevilla Universal Exhibition. Here you see the plan. They were inspired by Andalusian courtyard. As we see in these pictures, green areas and water have a key role. What did they actually do? They conveniently contain air currents of Cartuja Island with street furniture. They blocked solar radiation in certain areas through green canopies to cool the floor. Here we see some examples of the green canopies. You can see it. They also cool surfaces with walls of water. You see some examples. And finally, they cool air by evaporative cooling system. Here we have the main systems: the exosphere, the cool towers, water sheets. Those are views of the exhibition of 1992. And the third problem we mentioned at the beginning is that we have a very old residential park. The solution for this problem are nearly zero energy buildings for new buildings and for buildings renovation. A type of new zero energy building is the passive house standard. You have already knew about it in previous webinars. This is why we are not going to explain what is it. And because of that, we are going to start with a very interesting case in Spain of passive house in urban planning. Passive house and EnerFit are perfect complement to lead and bring certifications in energy area. Here we see the example of Villa Medina de Iregua, La Rioja. As you see in this picture, it is in the north of Spain. It is the first council which has included passive house standard in its urban planning. And here we see the first public building constructed with passive house standard. It is going to promote the energy renovation of the residential park as well as an improvement of their citizens' comfort. This picture, we are going to talk a little bit about two of the most commonly used passive house techniques in warm climates. The first one is solar control, and it is very important because we have a lot of hours of sun per year. To achieve good control solar, it's very important to design the halls and sun protection elements according to their orientation. Here you can see some solar control systems which are used very often. Here we see green solar protection, vertical, salts, awnings, vertical halls, and cantilevers. The second one is natural cross ventilations. It cools indoor air and improves its quality without energy. It is caused by current air that enter and leaves through opposite opening during the cooler hours of day and night. Here we see some pictures to explain you a little bit better what is natural cross ventilation. Here you see the air which enters and leaves. This is right, this is wrong. And finally, the last block of problem is our production model. The way to solve it is the evolution towards the circular economy. To promote this change, administrations have a very powerful tool called Green Public Procurement, GPP, where life cycle analysis plays a key role. Here you have the definition of green public procurement by European Commission. We want to remark that green public procurement is closely linked to climate change. We want to finish the webinar with Green Project. This project belongs to Horizon 2020 program. And the main objective is to train public authorities and workers in application of GPP, with a special focus on energy-consuming products and services. A pilot project already developed is supply of green electricity to the regional government of Cádiz. All projects have already reduced more than 6,004 tons of CO2. And well, this is all for this webinar. And I want you to thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you very much, Margarita, for this interesting presentation. And I hope that the audience could take a lot information from it and that it's useful for your daily work. We will give you some time now to write down questions if you have any. And it's also possible to raise your hands to show that you want to ask a question. But I understand that it takes at least half a minute or so to write down the question. This was the last presentation for this webinar. So
Okay, we have a first question or a comment from Danilo, and he will write an email later to you or us.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we will forward that. And apart from that, like Anna said at the beginning, there will be another SECAP walkthrough webinar planned for October, which is like an extra, since there was one presenter dropping out from this webinar. So we would like to give them the possibility to talk to you, and also for Chris, the organization Chris, to talk about the tool that they are developing for the projects. So now I think I have been talking for maybe 1 minute or so, and there are no questions written down so far. Yeah, you still have a few seconds before we close down the webinar. If you want to ask a question, or otherwise just email it to us.
And once again, thank you, Marita, and thank you all for listening today. And hopefully you will join us again for the SECAP walkthrough part 4 in October.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, and bye from Sweden. Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.